And good evening, welcome to the Over 40s Fitness Podcast. My name's Tristan Lowe, and if you're thinking, what's all this about? Well, these are hot cross buns, and I saw them, walked past them today, and it said, as you can see the sign here, it says 50% off, which I suppose is a great deal for these. Some hot cross buns, okay, they taste nice, they look nice, they smell nice. Okay, now, today's subject matter is why that 50% off these nice, tasty hot cross buns is not a good deal. It's not good for value for money. And the reason being is because irrespective of what your local shop is taking off on the day that it's due to expire, in terms of its sell by date or use by date, it says on here the 18th of November. Yep, 18th of November. Okay, so, which is tomorrow. Right, okay, the reason I say that's not a good deal, even though it's only half price, is because that can trick us to buying junk food or poor nutrition, low nutrition food, if you can call it food, just because there's a sticker on it saying half price, 20%, 30%, in this case 50%. I saw something today that had 75% off, and that's because it was due to expire. All right, so comfort eating, all right, and this is another reason why people, men and women, young or old, all right, the world over, will go and buy what they consider to be a good deal, but it's not a good deal because it's unhealthy. So whilst you may think you're saving, 50p, 75 pence on a £1 or £1.50 bag of hot cross buns, you're not. You're actually spending 50p or 75 pence, and actually you're spending your hard-earned time, value, and energy eating poor food. So it's not a good deal. This is just another reason why, okay, people comfort eat. Now, let's talk about comfort eating. Why do people do it? Why do we do it? Yeah, I've done it, you've done it, everyone's done it. I don't do it often, but I have done it. All right, okay. And hopefully not too many times in the future. All right. This podcast is here to provide answers, solutions, questions, observations. I'm a professional personal trainer and sports massage therapist, and I've been working in the health and fitness industry for the best part of 15 years now. All right, so I've got some experience because the amount of people that I've trained, irrespective of whether they're training for weight management, fat loss, body weight loss, weight gain on a rare occasion, sports injury recovery, soft tissue treatments, learning how to get fitter, stronger, they've all got a small, or in some cases greater, lack of discipline when it comes to comfort eating. Yeah, there's nothing comfortable about eating poor food on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly habit, which is going to make you unhealthily overweight, and carrying too much body fat. That is not a comfortable position to be in. And yet, food manufacturers advertising on TV, friends, family, work colleagues, next door neighbours, and worst of all, ourselves, will try and convince ourselves that comfort eating is okay because we may know someone else that does it. We may see someone on TV that does it, or, with all the advertising, especially in the last 3 to 4 years, certainly since 2019 through 2020, junk food, and if you can call it food, poor calories, and junk food has been advertised on TV even more to try and convince us that we should be comfortable in eating bad food, okay, to make us fatter, make us slower, make us weaker, make us have poor cardiovascular health, poor musculoskeletal strength, and in some cases, and there is evidence to prove that, it can lower our IQ, all right, okay, and there is evidence to prove that bad food lowers our IQ. And to give you a quick example, I've done it myself. When you had that massive meal, too many carbohydrates, and you get what's called carb coma. And the reason being that your body's oxygen is going towards the digestion to try and start digesting this massive amount of food, like we have on Christmas Day or Sunday roast. And so for those next 5 minutes or half an hour, we're mentally slower. We haven't got the oxygen, the blood flow to the brain. We've not got the oxygen going to our brain to make us, compass mentis, make us think sharper. So there is truth in that. Now imagine that, if that's acute, that's for the next 5 minutes, half an hour, maybe more. Imagine that though is chronic, where your thought process, your cognitive skills, your emotional intelligence, your emotional balance is reduced slowly but chronically over a space of time from snapping up these great deals, 50% off, okay? comfort eating. There are reasons why people do that, yeah, okay, and that can be physical stress, mental stress, emotional stress, geographical, financial. There's 101 reasons why people will eat bad food or relatively bad food again and again and again. All right, so the first reason that I can think of that people do it, and it's not due to a lack of intelligence, it's due to pressures from their daily life, their weekly life, what they do. So they go home, and the first thing that comes to mind is to raid the cupboards even before dinner in some cases, after work, and eat poor food. You know, open up fizzy drinks, start drinking alcohol at 5 o'clock and 6 o'clock. I've seen people on social media, you know, bragging on social media with clarity as well, that it's wine o'clock or it's beer o'clock because it's 5 o'clock on a Friday. You know, in some cases it's midday, depending on who you are and where you're from. You know, bragging that they are starting their Friday, Saturday, Sunday alcohol intake earlier than normal. Okay, that's a form of comfort eating, what we'll call this comfort drinking, or consuming poor calories. All right, so people do it because they've got stressful day at work, stressful time driving. They've got poor habits, as in their habits are badly formed because of the environment they're in. They may live with their wives, husbands, significant others, friends or family who also eat poorly on a regular basis. So they're surrounded by, on a regular basis, poor calories. There's junk food in the house. You've only got to go to your local shops, whether it be your Tesco's, Waitrose, Aldi, Lidl, whatever. It doesn't matter whether it's be a low value, low cost supermarket or one of those really expensive ones. Doesn't matter. There's always someone queuing up who is visibly unhealthy. They are visibly overweight and out of shape. Okay, you've only got to look what's in their trolley or in their basket or what they put on the conveyor belt, what's been spun across, and about 80% of it will be junk food or what they call comfort food. All right, and again, just to reiterate, it's not actually food. You know, fizzy drinks and crisps and buns and cakes and candies and sweets and alcohol and cigarettes aren't food. All right, they're not fit for consumption, and yet people still, in the advent of the internet being created, so they've got all the access to information that you have and I have, and yet they still buy that food and consume it on a daily basis because it's comfortable. It's carbohydrate and fats, and it's quick carbohydrates, high sugary food, high salty food, which is manufactured to get us hooked on it. It's manufactured and distributed and sold deliberately to get the public hooked on junk food, to make you unhealthy, unwell, docile, mentally and physically and emotionally docile. All right? And it also reduces testosterone in men. It increases estrogen levels in men as well. And that's why, another reason why, there are so many men between the age of, let's say, 18, you know, far down as even 16, but certainly 18 upwards, who have got abnormally low levels of testosterone. And more often than not, it comes down to two things. They eat a bad diet on a regular basis and they don't exercise. But the exercise part is for another one of my days podcast, okay, in all its different guises. But today we're going to talk about comfort eating. My advice to get yourself away from comfort eating is the first thing to do is to go through your cupboards at home and your fridge and your freezer, look at what's in there and that you know is an unhealthy food. All right, I don't care if you've got it half price. I don't care if it costs a lot of money. If it's bad food and you know it is, don't eat it. Don't eat it and then think, oh, I'll just eat this and then I won't do it again. Because every time you do eat it, that chemical, those chemicals that manufacturers deliberately put in that food is to get you hooked. So every time you eat it, you're more predisposed to going to the shop in your spare time and buying that food again. And even worse than that, not moving from your house, not even lifting your foot off the floor and ordering it on the internet to be delivered by someone to your house. People that weekly, historically, order junk food so they don't even have to lift a finger. All they've got to do is press their thumb, no pun intended, on their mobile phone whilst watching TV and order junk food to be delivered to their house. And the reason is, oh, it's Friday, oh, it's Saturday, oh, it's Sunday, it's still the weekend. You know, so between Friday and Sunday, which is close to a third of the week, he or she will knowingly eat poor food and say, I'm comfy now. They are comfortable in eating bad food. Yeah, comfort eating, from what my experience of training men and women, I've seen it more with women than men. I think men, alcohol, the same, if alcohol intake, probably the same as women, if it's too much, depending on what they drink. If they're drinking pints and pints of lager and beer, and a woman has a gin and tonic or a glass of wine once a week, the sheer amount of volume of alcohol that a man will take on is more. But all things being equal, I think when it comes to comfort food, women are more predisposed to eating comfort food. Now, please, if you know otherwise, then feel free to remind me or inform me or correct me. Okay, now there are ways to get away from it. Okay, so the first thing I've just said is go to your cupboard, fridge, freezer. It doesn't matter if your wife, your husband, or your children, brother, sister, your housemate, your flatmate, if they want to eat that food. Okay, if that's the case, yeah, here's quite a draconian idea to do. You still throw the food away, and it's better for you to give them the money for them to go and buy it if they've already bought it. Let them go to the shop and buy that poor food and put it in the house. Yeah, don't get comfortable eating bad food. Yeah. Okay, so this is a relatively short podcast again. I did one the other day on the C word, and that was for consistency. And when you're exercising and eating healthy, another C word is comfort food. Because eventually you'll become uncomfortable. You will get overweight, obese or morbidly obese. You'll end up carrying too much body fat, all right, for your organs to work properly. Too much visceral fat that sits in and around your organs. Yeah. You'll develop, if you're men, you'll develop high levels of estrogen, the female hormone, throughout the body, and your testosterone levels will lower. This is not an ideology, this is physiology. You will physically become weaker by consuming comfort food, your words not mine, on a regular basis. Yep, there are no benefits to eating junk food. We all do it, I've done it in the past, and it's likely there will be a time in the future when I will eat something that is essentially junk food. But it's not a habit, it's not regular. I don't go out of my way to eat bad food and then wonder why I can't think straight after. If that's you, right, this is no judgment here. If that's how you eat, that's how you live, that's up to you entirely, that's your choice. But you as an adult, again, let's say adults we're classing as 18 or over, if you know that's you, do something about it. Don't wait for yourself to get ill and have to go and see your GP, have to rely on the NHS, or even have to go private if things are so bad and you've got the finances to have to go private because you've let your physical health run down so badly by getting comfortable with eating junk food and processed food. Remember, when you see the discounts in the shops for your hot cross buns and you think it's a great deal, it's not a great deal. You're still spending money to eat bad food. In the long run, it's even worse because if it was 3 times the price, you might not buy it. So it's probably better for us. For a pack of hot cross buns is normally, I don't know, £2 or something like that. But you walk through the shop and that day it's £6, you're less likely to buy it because you know that it's no way, that's overpriced, that's the wrong price, yeah? Okay, so it's probably better if it's overpriced because you'll walk straight past it thinking, not today. So forget these deals and bargains, they're not a bargain. It's just another way for the supermarkets and the manufacturers to get you to buy their rubbish, yeah? All right, so there's consequences to being comfortable with being unhealthy, and I've talked about them before under different guises. And today, the initial consequences, it will make you fat. That is physiology, not ideology. Excess calories, and especially excess calories when it comes to junk food, processed food, will make you fat, out of shape, and overweight. And then you'll wonder why a day, a week, a month, a year, 10 years later, you got like that. It's not just down to the exercise. The hardest part of getting your body in shape and getting your mind in shape is actually the kitchen. It's not your local gym, it's not your local leisure centre or your sports club or your trainer. That's actually what you're doing at home with the cupboards and the fridge and the freezer and the cabinets, okay? That's the hardest part. But it's the part that if you can get your head round and get your mind right around it, as in don't buy it and don't be surrounded by people who buy it, yeah, you're halfway there. In fact, you're even more than halfway there, all right? I imagine that most of the viewers today drive a car. Let's say, I've got no idea, but I'm going to guess more than 50%. Above 50% of the viewers today drive a car or can drive a car. And my question to you, if you owned a car, as in you could lease one, rent one, buy one, borrow one, but generally you've got a car, access to it. would you knowingly put the wrong fuel in that car? Would you put diesel in a car that runs on petrol, knowingly do it? Well, the answer is going to be no. But think about this. Would you knowingly do it again and again and again, and then, hand on heart, wonder why the car breaks down? Would you put petrol, into a diesel car, and then wonder why the car's shaking and it breaks down after however long? The car eventually be no good to no one. And that's the same as your body. Don't knowingly put the wrong fuel in your body and then wonder why you're out of shape and you're unhealthy, and you are less likely to be of use to yourself and your loved ones and friends and family. If you are physically and mentally unhealthy, you are less likely to be of use to yourself, your friends and your family. We must not convince ourselves that being drunk on a regular basis, being overweight and having high levels of body fat, and having a physically weak body, and having poor organs function, and being cardiovascular unwell or unfit. There is nothing clever, bright, smart, cool, sexy about that. It's the exact opposite. Yeah. So when you see manufacturers convincing you to eat comfort food, and actually, here's I'll touch on this subject in detail in another podcast. What I've seen, again, over the last 3 to 4 years, is manufacturers deliberately targeting certain types of population, certain strands of our population. And this is something I'm going to put in another podcast as well. And I want to word it carefully and correctly, all right? And that because it could upset or offend someone, but that's for another time, okay? And actually, that'll be one that I'm going to think about very carefully how to word it, because I'd like you to listen to it. Because my viewers on my YouTube channel or listeners to it eventually won't just come from rural Lincoln or rural Lincolnshire. Eventually they'll come from elsewhere in the UK or Europe or around the world. And my next subject could actually resonate with them even more. All right, I'll leave you to figure that one out. So, all right, we've talked about it. Don't get comfortable, another C word, with bad food. It will make you uncomfortable, a U word. All right, so, answers on a postcard. What can you do about it? Well, what I'm going to do about it is chuck these away, okay, because although they taste nice, they look nice, and I'll tell you what, if I was to stick these in the toaster, I know 99% I would actually get them out the toaster, chuck some butter or margarine on it, and have one with a cup of tea or a cup of coffee in the morning. Once in a while, one of these, a hot cross bun ain't going to kill us, but, more than one will do eventually. If you eat enough, you're eventually going to keel over. So don't start, stay away from it. Don't get your children hooked on junk food. If you're an adult, and we're talking an adult and a parent, and that would be ordinarily in the UK over the age of 25, 26, it's incumbent upon you to not get your children hooked on junk food. If you do that, that's a negligence of your own duty. You are deliberately getting your son or your daughter, or your son, your daughter, whatever, hooked on junk food by consciously, more often, and sometimes subconsciously, feeding them bad food to keep them and you comfortable. It's not. It's going to keep them and you docile, unfit, and unhealthy. All right. That's today's podcast. It's mid-November 2023, and I'm up again in the morning on Saturday morning to train clients, to look after clients, to give them some ideas. Now, ordinarily, sometimes our conversations are a lot lighter than this. Just like anyone else, we'll talk about, what's on television, what's going on at work, what's happening around the world. We don't always talk about nutrition and weightlifting and sports and fitness and recovery and massage. No, because we're human. But we should take care to focus on having that self-control and be comfortable with throwing out bad food, and not eating bad food. Okay, what are we on? 19 and a half minutes. I tried to keep this under 20 minutes. I hope I haven't drummed it in too much, because it might go one ear and out the other. So it should resonate with you. Okay, that's it. My name's Tristan Lowe, and the podcast is the Over 40s Fitness. With Tristan Lowe, we look at health, fitness, and in the future, some other subjects as well. But we come into that. I've got an idea already for 2024, what I'm going to bring into my podcast, another subject, and to some degree, you could link it to health and fitness, but it's a slightly different one as well. We'll talk about it in the future. All right, stay tuned. Please like, subscribe, and share the channel. And don't forget to comment. Look forward to seeing you again. All right, look after your friends and family. All right, until now, I'm chucking these out.